Imagine waking up to the sound of sirens. The sun hasn't even risen yet, but the city is already restless. Somewhere in Los Angeles, a young man ties a blue bandana around his hand and steps out into the street. He doesn't go to school, he doesn't go to work. He's already part of something much bigger, something older, deadlier, and more complicated than most people can imagine. That world belongs to the Crips. The Crips, a name whispered through decades of American history, a word that means fear to some, pride to others, and survival to those who live it. If you think being a Crip is about wearing blue and flashing signs, you don't know the half of it. Because joining the Crips isn't just a choice, it's a sentence, a lifetime oath that you can never take back. Today we're pulling back the curtain on what life inside this world really looks like. Not the glamorized version from music videos, the real one, with blood, loyalty, paranoia, and a code that runs deeper than law itself. The birth of the blue. The Crips were born in Los Angeles in the early 1970s, a time of chaos, inequality, and anger. Back then, young black men were caught between poverty and police brutality. Jobs were scarce. Hope was rarer. Out of that pressure came something powerful, a brotherhood formed for protection. Raymond Washington and Stanley Tookie Williams didn't set out to build a global criminal empire. They wanted unity, strength, and respect. But what started as defense quickly became offense. Rival gangs formed, like the Bloods. Territory became currency. Violence became identity. And the Crips, once protectors, turned into one of the most feared street organizations in America. The Code of the Streets. To join the Crips, it's not enough to wear blue. You must prove yourself. Loyalty is tested not in words, but in action. Initiations vary from one set to another. Some involve brutal beatings. Others demand criminal acts. In every case, one thing is clear. Once you're in, there's no way out. There's no membership card, no leader giving you a badge. You're recognized by your behavior, your connections, and your willingness to do what others won't. And when they say Crip for life, they mean it literally, because walking away means betrayal, and betrayal, in this world, has a price. A day in the life. It's 7 a.m. in South Central. A Crip wakes up in a small apartment, his phone buzzing with messages, some about money, some about danger. He checks the block before stepping outside. He knows every face, every car that passes, because one unfamiliar look could mean trouble. He might spend the morning running errands, some legitimate, some not. Maybe collecting money, maybe delivering something that shouldn't be delivered. He moves with purpose, but never relaxes. Every few minutes his eyes scan the corners, not just for cops, but for rivals. Because here, your life can end faster than a traffic light changes. At night, the city glows blue under the dim streetlights. He meets with his set, a group of men who share the same past, the same risks, and the same color. They laugh, joke, talk about loyalty. But beneath that laughter is a constant truth. Any of them could be gone tomorrow. The rules no one tells you. Crip life runs on respect and retaliation. If someone disrespects your set, you respond. If someone questions your loyalty, you prove it. And if you ever speak to the police, you disappear. There's also a hierarchy, OGs, original gangsters, who earned their place decades ago, and young soldiers trying to prove themselves. The OGs teach the code, enforce discipline, and control territory. But even they live under the same shadow, prison or death. And here's the irony. Even though it's called a brotherhood, trust is rare. Because power shifts fast. A friend today could be an enemy tomorrow. The blue identity. The color blue means everything. It's not just a sign, it's identity, unity, and protection. But it's also a target. In certain neighborhoods, wearing blue could get you stopped by rivals or by the police. It tells the world who you are before you even speak. That blue bandana, it's not a fashion statement. It's a declaration. And the tattoos, small symbols, letters, or sets, are permanent marks of allegiance. Once they're inked, there's no taking them off. The price of loyalty. To outsiders, being a Crip might look like fast money and power. But inside, the cost is everything. You sacrifice peace, privacy, and often family. Many Crips lose their lives before 25. Others spend decades behind bars. And even those who try to leave carry the past with them, a name, a reputation, a stigma that never fades. Because the streets never forget. The modern Crips. Today, the Crips aren't just in Los Angeles. They've spread across the U.S., from New York to Atlanta, and even internationally. Some still live by the old code. Others evolved, running businesses, music labels, or influencing culture in subtler ways. But at the core, the truth remains the same. The Crips were born out of pain, and they continue to feed on the same cycle: poverty, anger, revenge. The illusion of power. Here's the truth few will tell you. The Crips don't really own the streets. The system does. For every dollar made, someone higher up, outside the gang, profits more. The prisons are full, the funerals never stop, and the cycle keeps turning. The power the Crips promise comes at the cost of freedom itself. The end of the road. For many, it ends the same way. A cold street, a gunshot, a blue rag lying beside a body, or a prison cell where time stands still. The brotherhood fades. The respect disappears. And all that's left is silence. So before you ever think about joining, remember this. The Crips don't just take your loyalty, they take your future. Reflection. The Crips aren't just a gang, they're a story about America, about desperation, identity, and survival. A reflection of a society that failed to protect its own, forcing them to create protection through violence. It's easy to judge from the outside, but to understand the Crips, you must understand the environment that built them, and how cycles of inequality still feed them today. Because when society ignores its broken corners, something else always rises to fill the void. So the next time you see blue graffiti on a wall, remember, it's not just paint. It's history, it's pain, it's warning. And the only way to truly survive the streets is never to belong to them.